In today's Hindu paper editorial section, in page number 7, there was an article saying it's time for universal basic income program in India. Providing universal basic income, at least till the economy normalizes, is the need of the hour. That is what that article says. So now in this context, we'll try to see what is this universal basic income and how is it useful for our economy, right? So what is this universal basic income? So this universal basic income, to simply say, is nothing but putting cash in the hands of the people unconditionally without any conditions, right? So in definition wise, it is a regular, periodic, unconditional cash payment. Now regular, what is regular? Monthly they will be giving the cash, or weekly they will be giving the cash. So in regular intervals of time, cash will be given to the people and an income will be given to the people. So it is a regular payment and it is a periodic payment and it is an unconditional payment. That means whether an individual is working or not working, whether an individual is poor or just above the poverty line, or he is doing good, or is he a middle income person, no matter what, income will be given to him. So this is unconditional, right? So universal basic income is a regular, periodic, unconditional cash payment to an individual. And so this is the definition of universal basic income. It's a regular, periodic, unconditional cash payment to an individual. Now, what is the significance of this? Like if we see till now, all the schemes which the government implements, it actually takes up things in a specific way. One scheme is for betterment of health, other scheme is for providing food grains, another scheme may be for women development. It brings in another scheme for food grain management. Like that, different schemes are there. Now, what this universal basic income says is it is universal. It is applicable to all the citizens of the country, all the people. It is universal, like irrespective of whether a person is poor or not, we have to give a regular income to every individual. That is the philosophy of this universal basic income, right? So the important feature is universality, not targeted. It's universal and it is unconditional. That means we don't keep any prior conditions. Like if we take an example of PM Kisan scheme, which gives 6,000 rupees to the farmers, their land owning is a condition. Only those farmers who have land will get the income. But this universal basic income is an unconditional cash payment, like without any conditions. Every individual gets money. So this is broadly about universal basic income. Now, Economic Survey 2016-17 year, this talks about universal basic income for the first time. Economical Survey 2016-17. This economic survey suggests universal basic income for the first time in the year 2016-17. Now then, why is it needed now? Why is that article talking about implementing this universal basic income now? Because present conditions, if we observe, two main issues are, the first one is job loss of the migrant workers, the laborers. There is huge job loss. Like if we see, 90% of the workforce of India belongs to unorganized sector. That means they don't have proper access to these pensions and insurance products. They don't have a job security, right? There is a lot of uncertainty in their lives and livelihoods. So such kind of unorganized sector comprises 90% of the workforce. That means 90% employees belong to such kind of jobs where job security is not there. And in the present crisis situation, because of COVID, there are some job losses happening and there are many people who are left jobless. So in this context, the article is suggesting for a universal basic income so that basic needs of an individual can be met. And the second important reason why this basic income is suggested is the fourth industrial revolution. Like we talk about automation, fourth industrial revolution, bringing artificial intelligence, Internet of Things at all possible stages in the production. So now what happens because of this? There will be job loss. Previously, what all jobs the workers were doing, some or most of those jobs will be done by machines now. Now this also creates a job loss. So we need some time in order to give the proper skills to these jobless people who became jobless because of these machines coming. So in this time, we need to support those people. For that also, this article suggests that we need universal basic income, right? So for the job loss because of the migrant laborers crisis of the COVID, and also because of this automation, the job losses which will be coming. So these are the two issues why we need such a universal basic income. Now with respect to mains, we'll try to analyze what are the advantages and disadvantages of introducing such a universal basic scheme in India, right? So the first one is, the first major advantage is universal basic income will be an effective poverty eradication tool, as we are giving income to every individual to meet their basic needs. Poverty can be reduced to a major extent in India if we introduce such scheme. So that is the first advantage, because basic needs can be fulfilled. The second thing is, the second advantage is, we are giving a choice to the individuals. Previously, government used to bring schemes where they are specific. People don't have choice. That means one scheme is for of health, the other scheme is for giving some insurance products, the other scheme is for increasing access to loans, or in this way the schemes are not comprehensive. But now we are giving cash to the hands of an individual and asking him to take care of whatever needs he want. So depending on his necessities, he can spend that amount rather than depending on the government schemes, right? So in this way, more effectively we can tackle this poverty challenge. So choice to the individual, that is the second thing, because one shoe doesn't fit all, right? So as we give cash to the hands of individual, they can better take decisions whatever they want. So choice to the individuals increases. Third thing is, we need not target anymore. There will be no inclusion errors. Previously, when the government was implementing schemes, there used to be exclusion of some important people who are in needy. They may not be ending up in the list of the government. The list of the beneficiaries which the government prepares, maybe some people who are really needy of the scheme might be omitted. And also there may be some fake beneficiaries in the government list, right? So we can remove all these things because the scheme is universal and unconditional, and as every individual gets some money in his hands, so this exclusion errors will not be there. This is the third biggest advantage. And also, this also is a kind of a social security scheme. Just imagine, as we have discussed, think about the unorganized sector workers. They don't have proper social security. They don't have job security. They don't have accident insurance. They don't have life insurance. So this universal basic income, in some sense, gives a social security to all such kind of people. Now, if any unorganized sector worker falls ill or falls sick and he could not go to work, even then he would be having some cash in his hands because the government is giving through universal basic income, right? So in this way, this is a kind of social security much needed for the unorganized sector workers. And also, this reduces the administrative burden. How? Previously, the government used to have a lot of burden in identifying who are the beneficiaries for this scheme, right? Now that headache is not there, as this is a universal scheme. And also, corruption and leakages can be reduced up to a major extent. Corruption and leakages can be reduced up to a major extent because now the government doesn't directly provide services. Only when there is a discretion with the government to provide a particular service under a particular scheme, only then chances for corruption is there. Now the government is directly transferring cash from the government to the people. Only that is the thing which the government will be doing. So corruption chances are less. For example, if we take PDS system, the ration shops, there are chances that food grains can be black marketed or can be diverted for another purposes. Such kind of corrupt activities, scope is less if we introduce this universal basic income thing, right? And also it improves administrative efficiency because government need not implement government rather than implementing schemes in silos. That means implementing one scheme for health, other scheme for poverty, another scheme for another reason. Rather than this, convergence of schemes is possible if you bring this universal basic income, right? So in this way also burden on the government decreases. So overall administrative efficiency of the government will improve, burden will come down. So these are some of the positives: poverty eradication, choice to the individual increases, better targeting, and no inclusion and exclusion errors, and it is a kind of a social security, and administrative burden reduces. And also other benefit is this also improves financial inclusion in our country. Now how is this possible? Financial inclusion means enabling people to have better access to the financial products. That means farmer will be having good access to loans from banks. So that is an example. So in this way rural people will be having good access to educational loans. So in this way, this is financial inclusion benefits. So financial inclusion can be improved. Why? Because when government says it will give some universal basic income to every individual, obviously this pushes people to open bank accounts. So in this way, they will be introduced through this financial inclusion. They will be introduced to the benefits which the government is providing through these banking channels. So financial inclusion also can be improved. This is also another important dimension through which we can analyze this. So these are some of the positives. Now what are some challenges and against arguments for this universal basic income? The first thing is moral hazard. Now what is this moral hazard? Because one of the argument which comes is people, as they are getting money into their hands without any conditions, whether they are doing work or not. Now there is an argument which says that people might not go for work, right? So labor force participation rate in the economy, that means number of people who are willing to work and who are working, may not increase much, because as they are getting cash into their hands. So this moral hazard is there. As people are getting money, they may not go to work. So this is one argument that is brought against universal basic income. And the second one is, to what extent an individual will effectively use this money, right? We cannot guarantee whether this individual would be using the money for productive reasons. It can be misused also, right? Or it can be underutilized also. So that is also second argument. Like whether can we effectively tackle the challenge of poverty or the challenge of malnutrition or the challenge of poor health by directly giving cash to the people. That is the second argument which is brought. The third argument is gender disparity in cash management. As we know, patriarchal society is deep rooted in our India. In such a scenario, when we give cash to household, maybe access for good resources for women, this problem may not be tackled by this universal basic income, right? So in allocation of resources, still that gender disparity might exist. That is the third argument that is made against this universal basic income. And also think about the financial burden, the huge financial burden that will be imposed on the government. Because such a huge population of India, just imagine how much financial burden it will put on the government. So this is an implementation challenge. How effectively can government take this fiscal pressure is another argument made. And also if we see, it will be a pressure on the banking sector also. Like as of now, creating that much liquidity is also an issue, right? So apart from these arguments, another interesting argument that is made is, what is the use in making such universal basic income a universal thing? Now even the rich and those who are not in need of cash also would be getting the money. So up to what extent is this justified? Now do really rich people need such universal basic income, right? So that is also an argument made against this universal basic income. And also if we try to see this in another dimension, think of a PDF system. There people would be getting rice, wheat and other important cereals at a fixed price. Say for a 30 rupees, an individual is able to get a kg of rice in PDS shop. Now rather than doing this, if the government is giving money to the individual in the form of universal basic income, inflation, because of inflation, if the price of rice increases to 60, then what about the affordability? So PDS system is better than giving cash to the hands of the people, because when, for example, if there are chances that inflation is there, then keeping cash in the hands of people is not a good idea. Assuring people affordability for basic services is a more better idea than giving cash to the people and leaving them to the market prices, right? So this is also an argument brought. This argument is basically state should provide affordable services, affordable food, affordable health to the people, rather than simply putting cash in the hands of the people, right? So though people have cash in their hands, if the affordability for food or health is too costly, then there is no point in keeping some minimum cash in the hands of the people, right? So this is another argument brought. So these are some of the arguments against universal basic income. Now if we see the present context, in the present context we talk about economic slowdown, right? We talk about economic slowdown. Now this economic slowdown is primarily because of fall in consumption demand, because of job losses, because of unemployment, because of agricultural distress, because of various reasons. People are not spending, people don't have cash in their hands, people are not willing to take loans. All this leads to low consumption demand, and when consumption demand is low, GDP would be low. This is the main reason behind this economic slowdown. Now, if we keep cash in hands of the people through this universal basic income, definitely it would help to increase the consumption demand and thereby revive the economy. That's why this article says universal basic income is a much needed step to revive our economy, right? So economic slowdown problem also can be resolved. Consumption demand can be boosted by this universal basic income. So this is in the present context. Now the article also says India is not the first country to think of this universal basic income. There were already some countries which have already implemented this universal basic income. Now some of the countries are Kenya, Brazil, Finland, Switzerland, right? So these are 4 countries: Kenya, Brazil, Finland and Switzerland. So out of this, 2 important case studies we will be seeing. First is Brazil and next is Finland. So coming to Brazil, Brazil also implemented a similar scheme of universal basic income. Its name is Bolsa Familia. Bolsa Familia, right? So this is an conditional cash transfer scheme similar to universal basic income, but not completely universal. This is a conditional cash transfer scheme introduced by Brazil government. Now what they did under this Bolsa Familia, under this Bolsa Familia, the government said that if every household sends their children to school and ensures they are vaccinated, then they would be given some basic income, right? This is the philosophy behind Bolsa Familia. Every household should send their children to school and get them vaccinated, then the government will ensure the household gets some basic income. This is Bolsa Familia, conditional cash transfer scheme, and this was actually a success in Brazil up to a major extent, right? 2 important issues can be tackled. On one side, we are ensuring every individual has money, we are able to eradicate poverty. On the other hand, we are also ensuring proper education to the children and also proper vaccination to the children. Human capital is improved on one side. On the other side, we are able to tackle this poverty also, right? So this was an interesting scheme implemented by Brazil, and this can be cited as a successful example for universal basic income in our mains answers. The other example is Finland. Finland has done a minimum income experiment, basic income experiment, right? So this experiment was for 2 years. What Finland did was, it selected 2000 unemployed people. It selected 2000 unemployed people and gave them 500 pounds without any conditions, and continued this for 2 years. For the year 2017 and 18, for 2 years, it gave 500 pounds to 2000 unemployed selected people, and it tried to get some observations. Now, unfortunately, the observation which they got was, psychologically they were happy because they had some cash security, but if we see jobs wise, they did not go for jobs in a good extent, right? So to simply say, the Finland government gave an final statement saying it was happier but jobless, right? So this was the basic argument that was brought for this Finland scheme. That means people were happy that they were getting money, but unfortunately, the rate at which people were going for jobs was not that much as expected, right? So this is we can say a challenge case study to the universal basic income, right? So these two are two contrasting examples about universal basic income. So what should be the way forward? Now, such a universal basic income definitely helps on one side to reduce poverty, as we are promising minimum basic needs. On the other side, it also helps to revive the economy. But also, with this universal basic income, state, that is the government, should ensure that basic services affordability is also maintained. Just because cash is put in the hands of people, that does not mean state will stop giving food grains through ration shops. State will not provide healthcare through government hospitals. That should not be the case. All the existing schemes should continue. The healthcare schemes, the food management or the food grain schemes, the schemes to the farmers, the schemes to the BPL, all these should continue. Along with that, this universal basic income should be provided, right? So this should be our way forward. Like, the state should provide affordability to all these services. At the same time, it should give cash to the hands of the people, right? So